Hello and welcome to FPL Waffle, a bit of a game week 29 preview for the big double game week that's happening come this weekend. Very much looking forward to it. So without further ado, let's hop into the screen share. We'll firstly review how I got on in game week 28, the fairly sort of blank game week, which went fairly okay, right? It went fairly okay. I got 53 points. Um, so the defense did nothing. Danny Ward was a bit painful. He's been dropped for me in the 1 week I sort of particularly needed him to get me some points. With Edison on the bench. Madison came through with a return though, which was nice. I did punt for a captain Son, which the poll won with a whopping 2 votes. But at least he got an assist to get me a captain return. Saka, in hindsight, was the greatest captain pick. On paper, you probably could have seen it coming, but obviously you never really know in fantasy football. So Saka hauled of 18, and then Kane and Watkins both got returns for me. So Watkins was the other transfer I brought in. And then Bomo again missed a couple of chances and came out of a 2-pointer. So I can't wait to get rid of him. 53 all in. I think I got like a minor green arrow by like 1 point or something. So did the job, come through the blank game week okay. And then looking into this double game week, as I'm hoping my daughter doesn't wake up while I'm recording this, with my wife being out, we've got Ward is going to have to be dealt with because I want the double game week keeper, and I don't particularly want to play Edison at home to Liverpool, so I'm going to deal with Ward, I think, and that'll also get me a keeper for the upcoming blank game week 32, where Edison's not going to have a game, and obviously Ward isn't playing, so I need to deal with the keeper. So that's going to be one of my transfer moves. Happy with Dunk, happy with Trippier. Happy enough with Botman, provided he's shrugged off illness, which I'm sure he will. Very happy with Madison. Happy with Rashford, assuming he shrugs off this knock. Very happy with Saka against Leeds for a single game week. Very happy with Matoma, who my captaincy armband is currently on, but not locked in yet. Happy with Watkins for his 2 away fixtures. And then Kane probably would be all right to get away to Everton, but I feel like Everton are a good defence at home under Dyche. So I'm not convinced about Kane. And I'm not convinced about Son, who was sort of a 1 week punt in my blank game week. So potentially 3 transfers this week are going to be needed. I don't really want to play Mbomo, Henry, or Gabriel on my bench for this double game week. So that's kind of a rough idea of some of my considerations of who I want to transfer out and which players I'm going to stick with. Captaincy wise, Matoma, Rashford, or Madison are currently the ones I'm looking at. But I might talk a little bit more about captaincy as I go through some of the top teams and players that I personally think you should pick for this upcoming game week. So a quick glance at the fixtures. There's loads of juicy doubles this week. So Bournemouth, not really too fussed about Bournemouth, are we? But they've got a nice double. Bournemouth and then Brighton, my team. Brentford a double, but it's not the nicest. Brighton have arguably got the best double of the game week, home to Brentford, away to Bournemouth, so you definitely want to target them. Chelsea have a decent double, home to Villa and home to Liverpool. I found earlier that Villa are conceding the most chances at the moment in terms of expected goals conceded. So playing them and Liverpool, who we know can be shaky defensively, could be a good shout for Chelsea. We've then got Leicester, great fixtures away to Palace, home to Villa. I think you should have a serious consideration about getting in one of them. Liverpool, really tough double away to City, Chelsea, but it is Liverpool who can be good on their day. United away to Newcastle, home to Brentford, solid double. Newcastle home to United, away to West Ham, solid enough double to want at least one of them. And then we've got West Ham with home to Southampton, home to Newcastle, arguably one of the best doubles. I skipped over Forest, home to Wolves, away to Leeds. I don't really think we're going to be looking at their players. But if you wanted to take a punt on a differential, Gibbs White or a Brennan Johnson, if he's past fit, could be worth consideration. So into the teams to target them. As I mentioned, I think Brighton have the best double. I think Lewis Dunk is our most nailed defender, our captain. He's going to play every minute of every game. He has a bit of a goal threat from corners, occasional bonus point man. I think if you want someone that's reliable for you from now until the end of the season, for every single game week that we have, for all of our doubles coming up in a congested fixture schedule, go for Dunk. I'm happy I've got Dunk. Estepinian is arguably more attacking, can provide more returns, but there's chances he might not play every minute of every game, as we've seen him come off with substitutions lately. And he's just had a game on a long distance on the international break, so he may not play the next one. Probably will. But if you want to be aggressive, Estepinian, but be prepared to lose some minutes from him, whereas Dunk, you won't lose minutes. And then I've just got the three midfielders: March, Matoma, McAllister. You can't really go wrong with either. March hasn't been away on international break, so there's he's going to be more reliable for minutes in this particular double. But I'm sure Matoma and McAllister are going to be back from their international break, ready and raring to go. So I think captaincy on a Brighton midfield is looking good this week. I think March for minutes is reliable, but Matoma and McAllister I feel like are our two most explosive players in terms of point potential. So I think take your pick really with each of them. But I think you want at least two Brighton players this week, to be honest. Probably all three, but at least two. So take your pick with them. Man United, I think you probably need at least one or two of them this week. Obviously, Rashford is going to be needed, providing he's fit, which we assume he will be. Beyond that, a lot of people are looking at Fernandes this week. Reliable player for minutes in a sort of congested double game week. He's on pens, all that sort of thing. So I think Fernandes is worth a look if you want to get him in. And then Luke Shaw, he's been great all season in defence, attacking returns, defensive returns. I feel like for me personally, I'm seriously looking at bringing in Shaw this week with my Rashford. If you can afford Fernandes, I think he's a bit of a luxury, but he might do really nicely for you if you can afford him and squeeze him in your team. And then De Gea could be a good shout in goal if you need a goalkeeper. Next team, I'm looking at Leicester. I think Maddison is a fantastic shout this week. He's playing great. He's got great fixtures. I'm really pleased to own him. I think you should seriously be looking at Maddison this week if you don't have him already. Beyond that, Barnes might be a cheeky differential. He's been scoring a few goals lately. He's one of their more sort of nailed attackers. It's hard to know if they're strikers who's going to play each week, Daka, Vardy, and Nacho. So I like Barnes if you want to take a punt on him. And then defensively, if you want a real punt, Castagna or Ricardo Pereira just back from injury, cheeky differential. Leicester defensively, we know aren't good. You're kind of going into that hoping for a lucky clean sheet and maybe some attacking returns. But if you want to take a differential punt, you could look at them. But I think Maddison's the one. And next to that, you could take a punt on Barnes if you wanted to. Then looking at Chelsea, as we've looked at, they've got a couple of decent home fixtures. As I mentioned, attackingly, although Potter's not the most attacking manager, they've been picking up lately and they've got some good fixtures attacking-wise. So Havertz on pens is probably a top pick. Felix is your kind of slightly more differentially pick. He's been playing well and has good underlying numbers. So you might want one of them. Chilwell, I just think he's been playing great lately. His minutes have been fairly nailed. Even though Cucurella is there, he's not really getting a sniff, and he's attackingly, defensively looking great. So I think Chilwell is a great pick for Chelsea. Arguably number one this week if you want a Chelsea player. Reece James, we know can be good, but he's got injury concerns, fitness concerns. He keeps on losing out on minutes. So I think you kind of have to be a bit more brave if you want to go for James. But I think your bravery could pay off if you wanted to go for him, if the press conference provides a positive update for him on Friday. And then Kepa, again, if you're looking for a keeper, Kepa's been great all season, so you might want to look at him. And then moving on, we've got West Ham. I love West Ham's fixtures this week. As we said, home Southampton, fantastic fixture. Home to Newcastle, again, West Ham at home, fancy him. So you've got Bowen for a more expensive pick. I think it's a great shout if you want to go for a West Ham midfielder this week and can afford him. Beyond that, a bit of a cheap one, Ben Rama. He had like 10 or something shots in their last match. Got a return. He's been on penalties as well. I'm really tempted by Ben Rama. So if you want to take a punt on Ben Rama, that's another shout, him or Bowen. And then if you want to take a punt on Ings, I'm a bit concerned about Ings' minutes just because Skamaka and Antonio are there. But he has seemed to have been the number one striker. We know Ings is a deadly striker when he wants to be. And yeah, I think he'll probably at least kind of get 90 minutes in one, or start. He'll probably start both. And if he doesn't start both, he's going to start one. He's going to get minutes in the other. So I think Ings is worth a shout to look at if you want a striker and need a striker this week. And then I thought a West Ham defender. I really want a West Ham defender this week. Home to Southampton, home to Newcastle. I think that's playing against two fairly weak attacks, both at home. It's just a case of who. This chap here, Aguard, whatever his name is, has been very consistent for minutes all season if you want a sort of reliable defender, but you're not going to get much beyond clean sheets. Goalkeeper-wise, if you need a goalie, you might want to consider Fabianski, but at the moment, he's not quite back from injury, but he probably will be, but you'll have to look at the press conferences. So there's a bit of question marks over if it's going to be him or Areola. So if the press conference says to me, Fabianski's in, I might actually go there for my Ward dilemma. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. And then beyond that, Zuma's just back from injury, but I feel a bit worried because he's only just come back. But he probably will be playing most games. So You might want to look at him if you want a West Ham defender as well. And we know he has attacking potential from corners. So that's sort of West Ham for you. I would love a defender. Obviously, a midfielder gets you a defensive point for a clean sheet, which isn't great, but it gives you something at least if they do get some clean sheets this game week. So yeah, Bowen, Benrahma, my top picks. Beyond that, Ings and a defender, I think you could well worth a look at. If you've got a nailed defender that you want to put in, I like it this week for West Ham, and they play in the blank 32, which will be good for me because I'm out of chips. And then almost there with the teams, Newcastle and Trippier, I think, is a must-have. They've got a decent double, and he's just been great all season. If you want to take a punt on Isak, he's been on form lately. He's looking good. He's looking sharp. He's on pens with Wilson not on the pitch at the moment. I think Isak's a great shout if you want to go for a punt with him. And then I've put on Fabian Schär there. If you want another defender, I think being aggressive with double up Newcastle defence is still promising. They've got another double coming up soon, a couple of doubles, I think, and they play in the blank 32. So holding Newcastle players looks quite good if you need some players to kind of carry through. And Schär loves to score. I watched the game the other day and he missed a big chance and was just like really annoyed. He's just like, I can just tell he always wants a goal. He's asking Trippier if he can take free kicks. He's always an attacking threat from corners. Like, I'm sure this man's going to get another attack in return before, between now and the end of the season. So I like Schär if you want another Newcastle player outside of Trippier and Isak. Botman and Pope could do a job for you, but they're not going to offer much else other than clean sheets. So they're my Newcastle picks. And then finally, I've got some other picks. Watkins, if you don't have him already, away to Leicester, away to Chelsea, good double. Really happy with him this week. Salah, okay, he's got a really tough double, but it is Salah. Liverpool will be up for it against City. They're going to try and do something against Chelsea. If a man's going to do it, it's probably going to be Salah on pens. And he's going to look good for the coming fixtures after this week as well. He's got some good fixtures coming up. I think like Leeds, Forest, he's got a good double coming up as well beyond this one. So you might want to put in Salah early and get ahead of the game with him if you want to take a punt and can afford him, basically. It's probably going to have to be him or Fernandez if you wanted to go for a more expensive mid. And then Dom Solanke, probably the only Bournemouth player I consider, even remotely consider, to be honest. He's their talisman. They've got a good double this week. Or a fairly good double, 2 home fixtures against not like two massive clubs. So you might want to take a punt on him if you need a cheap striker. And then finally, my only single game week player I'm recommending, Saka, just smashed it against Palace. Home to Leeds is one of the nicest fixtures you can get all season. Arsenal were playing brilliantly. Saka's on pens. He's their talisman. I'm really happy owning him this week as a single game week player over some of the doublers that I could have in my team. So I think Saka's a good shout. Obviously, can't overlook Haaland, but he's got a slight fitness issue, groin injury issue or something, which he probably will shrug off. We'll have to look at the press conferences, but home to Liverpool's not the easiest fixture. Obviously, we don't know what Liverpool team's going to turn up. If you want to play or need to play Haaland this week, then go for it. But because he's quite expensive, you might be able to do more damage with doublers if you share the funds around, providing you can get back to him next week. And some of you probably would have sold him already, which is another reason why I didn't include him in this video, because a lot of people are planning on bringing him back next week. Anyways, so that's a run through, I think, of all my picks for this double game week. Hopefully there's some players there that you might have already thought about or some that you might have not considered and are now considering. For my transfer plans with some of those players in mind, I would love I'd love a West Ham mid for Son. I'd rather Bowen if I can, but financially I'll probably have to go for Benrahma if I can then, because then I'm going to have to plan to get Haaland back next week. So to afford that, I'll probably need a cheaper mid. Outside of that, I might go for a March so I can get my Brighton triple up back. But then I'm going to have to navigate game week 32 with the blanks and all that. But I might cross that bridge when I come to it. So I'm thinking March, Benrahma, something like that midfield. Goalkeeper, I'm thinking if I go March, I would love to get the West Ham goalie, providing I get a guaranteed answer on the press conference for if Fabianski's back or not. And then for my Kane, sort of, I say dilemma, but it's not really a dilemma. He'd be fine away to Everton, but I just think I prefer another doubler, and I really want Luke Shaw, so I'd probably do Henry to Luke Shaw, and then I'd bench Kane and bring in Shaw. So they're my transfer plans. That's what I'm thinking. There's your top teams and your top players that I think you could consider for this game week. Hopefully, this video has been helpful. Hopefully, there'll be lots of juicy green arrows this week with lots of points for a fun double game week. And yeah, enjoy fantasy football this week. There's not many doubles as big as this, so have fun. Enjoy the point returns that you get. And for now, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll look forward to catching you on the next one.